One accident in one direction screws up the whole freeway. I've literally watched people 360 on the freeway right next to me. I personally think the biggest intersection now in town is if you're on McCarran, right as you turn left onto Pyramid Highway, they literally took out a whole street full of houses on the right-hand side of the road. Think Reno's traffic is just like the California chaos? Well, think again. In the rapidly expanding regions of Reno, Sparks, and beyond, there's a heated debate brewing over whether our growth has outpaced our infrastructure, leading to real traffic dilemmas. As our population booms and our economy expands, the stakes are higher than ever. And this isn't just about daily commutes, it's about the future of Northern Nevada and how will we keep up. So today we're diving deep into the pressing issue, presenting 3 compelling perspectives that might just change how you think about our roads. Stay with us as we dissect the complexities of Reno's traffic troubles. This is a conversation you won't want to miss, especially if you're considering making this area your home. Are you considering relocating to Reno or Northern Nevada? Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell for notifications to learn more about why Reno is an excellent place to live and work. We release new content every week showcasing all that Northern Nevada has to offer and why so many have already made the move to Reno, Nevada. All right, so let's talk about traffic. I get a lot of comments, a lot of people talking about traffic issues, traffic concerns, and to be honest with you, it is all relative compared to what you're used to. So when I get people that have lived in Reno for a really long time, they think the traffic here is heavy and there's a lot of traffic. And for people that have come here from California, especially whether it's the Bay Area, Sacramento, Southern California, or now recently I've been to cities like Portland, Seattle, Boise, Salt Lake City, Phoenix. The traffic in these other communities to me are a whole lot worse than what we deal with here. And so the first thing that affects our traffic and what has made it change so much is literally the number of people. So I pulled up some stats and I started off in the year 2000. So these go from 2000 to 2022. We don't have population stats that I could find that were more recent than that, but our area has grown by over 45%. So when you look at this in 2000, we had just under 342,000 people. And right now, just in Washoe County, which is that Reno Sparks area, we're just about to hit 500,000 or 500,000 people. And so that doesn't even include the growth in surrounding cities like Fernley and Dayton and Carson City, where all those people come into Reno for lots of different reasons. They're coming to use the airport, they're coming in for jobs, and so it has created more cars, more people, more traffic. So if you're saying we've had a 45% increase in population, just look at it this way. The U.S. as a country has increased by 18%, and the state of Nevada by itself was literally 57.4%. So when we're trying to get federal funds and money to build new roads and do things like that, you have to remember, we have to share that money with Las Vegas. And if we grew at 45% and our state grew at 57%, well, then Las Vegas has even grown more than we are. And even with that population growth, what I looked at were the demographics and the age numbers. And even if we had the same number of people, we would still see more drivers. For whatever reason, our population has aged a little bit here. And so for the same number of people, you have more people in cars and more people driving. And so because of that, you're just going to have more people on the road. Now, I'm spoiled. I'm lucky where I live and my drive to work is only a few minutes, but I'm a realtor and I drive all over this city and I do a really good job of knowing what places to go to avoid based upon time of day, areas, and those kind of things. So do we have some traffic? Absolutely, and we're going to talk about that right now. So if you're a person that lives out in the North Valleys, I had a home in the North Valleys in the early 1990s, and at that time, probably 80% of what's out there now wasn't there. And so because of that, if you're a person that works 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., have more normal work hours, and you're coming in on the North Valleys from 395, you are absolutely going to have traffic coming in the mornings and going out in the evenings. And you're going to see the exact same thing regarding traffic if you live in Sparks. So if you're coming in on Pyramid Highway or Sparks Boulevard or Vista, those are all the roads that come off of 80 that run north-south. And because of that, those roads go way the heck out there. And because they go way the heck out there, way further than they used to, again, anybody coming in the mornings and going out in the afternoons, you're going to see increased traffic from what people that have lived here for a long time are used to. Now, with that being said, they are in the process now of working on roads and doing things a lot better in both these areas. So let's talk about the North Valleys first. If you now drive north and you're there on Audi Boulevard between Audi and Golden Valley, those 4 miles right now are being expanded and being widened. And actually just a few years ago, the bridge that goes across that highway on Park Boulevard was just redone. So people going out that direction for the last few years have had to deal with heavier traffic issues than normal. And they keep building more houses out there, but this is why they're widening the freeway. And currently, if you try to go out there, it is a pain. I would say it's kind of that one step backwards to move 2 steps forward. And because of that right now, if you live in the North Valleys, it is more traffic and it's going to be temporary, though. We're going to see how it alleviates once those roads get widened over those 4 miles. But it is the same thing out in Sparks. I personally think the biggest intersection now in town is if you're on McCarran, right as you turn left onto Pyramid Highway, they literally had to eminent domain a full street of houses. So I know we think, oh, we can just make these roads and do things easier, but it's not always the case. They literally took out a whole street full of houses on the right-hand side of the road so they can expand it into 3 turn lanes. And now as you come up on Pyramid Highway and you first come up over that bridge, they're widening the road there, so it's a mess right now. And as you come over, that used to be a big empty field with an old barn that looked like it was going to fall down. And now it is full-on Costco's and Home Depots and shopping. And so everyone from Sparks is always trying to get into those areas. So obviously you're going to have more traffic. But again, they're doing what they need to do to widen the roads there and try to make these traffic patterns better. I know, to me, our roads are new. They're nice. Our gas tends to be more expensive. And the reason our gas is more expensive, whether you go out to Fernley or Carson or Dayton, is because they use some of that money to work on our roads. And because, like I said, I feel like we have nice roads. They're doing lots of good road projects, and they're trying to do their best to keep the infrastructure up to speed so that as we have more cars and more people, that we're doing a good job with all that. If you want to see, to me, what was the biggest project in town, and where people always complained the most, was the Spaghetti Bowl. Originally, between 1969 and 1971 is where the original Spaghetti Bowl project happened. And when they first built it, it was literally set up for 130,000 cars a day. And of course, we know we have way more people and way more traffic. And over time, since I've lived here, they've expanded it more. And if you drive on it now, heck, the part where the bowl comes together, there's literally 6 lanes wide on each side of the highway, which I would have never dreamt you would ever see that kind of traffic there. And of course, they did all kinds of good things to make it less congested. But the project is not over. I looked it up, and they literally have 3, 4, 5 more phases that are literally scheduled all the way out to 2039. So as our community continues to grow, you're going to see this stuff again, where there's going to be more construction, more work going on in that whole Spaghetti Bowl area. But they've done other things, for example, like the Southeast Connector. So I live, again, you guys know this, in the south part of town in Double Diamond, DeMonte Ranch area. And now you can go around the Southeast Connector through Hidden Valley into the Sparks area. And so if you're going back and forth that way, they're trying to keep those cars, again, out of the Spaghetti Bowl. It is multiple lanes wide. The road is all relatively new, but that project took forever to build because, again, environmental concerns. They had to take a golf course away, and now there's homes in Hidden Valley that are really close to a major roadway that they weren't thrilled about. So it's not always quite as easy as just saying expand the roads, put in new roads, do whatever you want. There's always people affected by what they're doing in these projects. So there are lots more projects going on this time of year. I always say it's like winter and then road construction season. So between fixing the roads, expanding the roads, like we're, again, down in Double Diamond area, they took out the medians. They're adding more turn lanes. So it's not as quite simple as you think. But you can actually go, I looked it up, to the Nevada Department of Transportation website. We'll put the link down below. It will tell you what the current projects are that are going on. It'll tell you what the future projects that are going on and how all these projects are going to affect people in their advancing of all this road stuff. Are you planning to relocate to Reno, Nevada? Make sure you're fully informed by clicking in the video description to download our free buyer's guide. The guide is packed with all the information you need to get started on your real estate journey into Northern Nevada. Now, part of our traffic issue is we do not have a lot of public transportation here. So for those of you that do see buses driving around or do ride the bus, I do not know a lot of people that use the buses, and you don't see them a lot. But because we have no underground subway system, we have no above ground subways or monorail systems, we literally just have buses. And other than that, it's going to be a taxi or an Uber. You have to have everybody in a vehicle. Without having a vehicle here, there's very few areas you can live that you don't have a car. And so you see parts of this, like when they redid, again, here's more construction they did on roads. The whole Midtown area where they turned 2 lanes into 1, put in some roundabouts, extended the sidewalks so that people could be more walkable neighborhoods. And all those surrounding neighborhoods around it, you could probably get away with a scooter or a bike or something and live there without a car. But for the most part, I do not know a lot of people that successfully thrive in our community without some sort of vehicle as a way to get around. So that is also part of the problem. And I don't know if the public transportation system is going to get increased. I haven't seen a whole lot about things getting better with that. It just seems like something people here don't use. So it never gets bigger and never expands. So people are going to be in cars. So another issue that would be causing more traffic issues would be the sprawl. So when I first moved to Reno, we have that McCarran loop that runs around town. And if you went any direction, whether it was Sparks, the Northwest, or South, the city didn't go very far in any of those directions. So you could live close to McCarran. You didn't always have to get on the freeway. And you were never more than 15 minutes away from anything. But now, because in the Northwest, it goes all the way out Verdi and Mogul, all the way damn near to the state line. Somerset, you have so many more people over in the Northwest. In Sparks, as we said, on Vista, Sparks Boulevard, Pyramid Highway, it goes out damn near 20 miles now. If you come south, for those of you that don't know where the In-N-Out Burger is right there, it used to be the Pink Scalaries. The freeway used to end right there. And now the freeway, again, another good construction project, goes all the way to the far end of Carson City. But now all those people live off Mount Rose Highway, that live in South Meadows, that now live in Washoe Valley. Those were not heavily populated areas, and now they are. And so you have all these people coming from these outlying areas because they're all heavily residential coming into town where all the jobs are. And so You've heard projects talking about having more properties going up, whether they're condos, whether they're townhomes, whatever the projects might be, to get more people living in town and keeping them off the freeways would be a huge benefit versus keep spreading out in all these other directions. Now, I know in the North Valleys and out in Sparks and some of those outlying areas, you're starting to see more jobs and more people working and living out there, so they're not always having to come in and out all the time on these roads. But again, it's going to be one of those things, it is all relative. Another huge factor that we talk about all the time is whether people drive too fast, distracted, I call it non-polite driving, just merging all over the place. And of course, because we have so many people moving here from California, the weather plays a huge factor in our traffic issues, because if you've never lived somewhere where it snows or that actually has weather, and all of a sudden you're driving around here in the wintertime, it causes more accidents, which then causes more traffic, and it backs things up. And those are no faults of the roads. Those are more just driving issues and people having concerns about not knowing how to drive in weather. And snow is something that we all get. It's not a huge factor in town, but it is something that one accident in one direction screws up the whole freeway. I've literally watched people 360 on the freeway right next to me, driving way too fast in conditions that they shouldn't do any of that stuff on. And then lastly, what I think is a really cool feature about traffic and roads here in Northern Nevada is if you go to NV Roads, you can literally type in Nevada 511 and they will have all the information on cameras, whether there's traffic conditions going to California. It almost looks like your map. It'll have it all highlighted red where there are traffic areas where there was an accident, so you can stay out of those areas. And figuring out which way is the best way to drive is a huge factor in this whole traffic thing. Because again, if you are south of 80, which runs east and west, and you're trying to get north, whether it's in the Northwest, the North Valleys, or in the Sparks, at certain times of day, you just need to know that is not the ideal way to have to do that. So if you can find jobs that work off hours, or if you know, hey, I'm going to work out in Sparks, maybe I should live south and I'm going opposite of what the regular traffic flows are, it makes a huge difference in what people think that are traffic here. With all that being said, is the traffic more than it was 30 years ago when I first moved here? Absolutely. There's more people, there's more cars, there's more traffic. But in reality, there are very few times you're driving around this town where you're not going 40 or 50 miles an hour at a minimum, even on the highway. And if you are, it's typically because they're in the middle of working on the roads, expanding the roads. And I know right now, like I said, between the North Valleys and Pyramid Highway, it is a mess out there. So hope that helps you learn a little bit about the traffic patterns and traffic flows and where to find information about traffic here in Northern Nevada. We'd love to hear your opinion, so please comment below. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Curious to know what it's like to live in Northern Nevada and what the great city and area are all about? Then don't miss our next video where I talk about all the pros and cons of living in Reno, Nevada.